Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Masks Off. I'm Kim Gross, and today my guest is Ameerah Barker. And really, yes, like, hey, excited
Hey.
to, yes. And honestly, I'm going to say before I do read the quote that this conversation is going to be in flow with the Masks Off brand, but yet there's going to be a little bit of a different flavor and a different twist. So I think you'll find this one really interesting. But as always, I'm going to start with a quote, and the quote is, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." And that is by none other than Rumi. I just like get chills on that one. Oh my God, it's awesome and amazing.
Yes.
So Ameerah, oh my God, I'm so happy to have you here today. Welcome, welcome,
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you. Thank you for inviting me. This is
Yes,
exciting.
it is exciting. So if you want to just tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself in your own words.
All right, yeah. So my name is Ameerah Barker. I'm the founder and CEO of Scar Power, which I launched in May of 2021. My mission is to educate and empower women with scars, whether they're physical or emotional, to overcome their insecurities, build confidence, and step into their power. So the meaning of star power is like a play on star power, right? So when you think about star power, you think about celebrities, you think about their authority, their influence, and their presence. And I think our scars can do that for us as well, but it's all in how you look at it and how you use them, right? Like how you your self-perception of the scars. And I also have a tagline too, because if you look at my logo, it says scar power, presence, freedom, authenticity. And so presence is basically like having an awareness of self, like being present in your own energy, right? Because we all have a light shining inside of us,
Yes.
and it's whether or not you want to shine that light or cover it up, right?
Mm.
And so once you are aware of yourself, then you're free to be your authentic self. So it kind of like flows into one another. And actually, scar power is not about the scars. It's really about you and your focus on yourself. It's the healing of you, right? It's all about your self-perception. Like, how can I see myself despite my scars? And also, how can I use my story, my scar story, to help inspire others? Right.
Mm.
So that's what Scar Power is about. And I'm so excited to talk to you all about it because this is actually my first podcast of the new
Oh
year.
my God, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, everything you just said is just so profound. So there is a story behind everything you just said in terms of an actual physical scar. Do you want to tell us about that and how your journey with that?
Yes. So about me, so I have keloid skin, and basically what that means is that my skin overheals whenever I get like a scratch or some kind of trauma to the skin. It doesn't happen all the time, but majority of the time, even if it's like acne on my chest, it can form into a keloid. But like in the mid 2000s, I used to wear a cross chain, and the chain gave me a little scratch in the middle of my chest. And from there, that healed into like a small little keloid. And if you know anything about keloids, they grow. They start to get bigger and bigger. So as this keloid right in the middle of my chest got bigger and bigger, I started to get a little more and more insecure about it and decided to get plastic surgery in 2009. And so what the surgeon did, he cut the scar out and he told me to use a cream called Aldera cream. And this cream actually gave me a huge chemical burn right in the middle of my chest, which was 100 times worse than the scar originally, right? Um, and then that led to it keloiding up even more because now I have like this huge chemical burn and now it's keloiding up into like a raised scar,
Yeah.
which, kind of took me down a few notches because previous to that, a few years before I got the keloid, I was a Baltimore Ravens cheerleader.
Mm.
And with that, you have a certain level of how you see yourself, and it's all about image. It's all about being
Yeah.
pretty and right, and your weight and all of that stuff. So when you have a trauma that happens to how you look, then you know what I mean. That's big. And so that kind of took me out of the game for 12 years. Um, I was really insecure about my scar. I was afraid to be myself. I didn't wear what I wanted to wear. In some cases didn't do what I wanted to do. And that just kind of kept me trapped in myself, within myself, and trapped in my skin, right? And so after that, I know a lot of people now ask me like, well, how did you do it? How did you start showing your scar? So it's kind of a um what do you call it? The domino effect of like
Yes.
certain events
Yes.
that happened to get me out of my scar story, I call it. So actually in 2020, I got separated from my then husband, and later I got divorced. But in that same year, I lost my job in September of that year.
Mm.
And so that kind of led to like this uh really big insecure period in my life where it was like, okay, I need to start doing something different. And so, and in January of 2021, because it's kind of like the new year, and it's like, okay, I want to be different. Like,
Yeah.
how can I be a better version of myself? I started with Tony Robbins, and I'm sure you know who Tony
Yes.
Robbins
Yeah.
is, who's awesome. So he actually had a Facebook seminar. It was like a free 5-day seminar that I went to, and that led me onto like this crazy self-development journey for like 8 months straight.
Mm.
Like I attended 5 of his seminars in a row. I journaled, I meditated, I just really got grounded in myself. And
Mm.
it's like a stacking effect, right? Because after you hear all of these speakers say all of these different things over months and months and months, it actually starts to sink in. And
Yes.
you're like, oh, okay. So that's what kind of happened, which led to the birth of Scar Power and this like epiphany. Like if I'm dealing with, my scar and just being insecure about it, there's other women out there that are the same. And one of the things are dealing with the same. And one of the things that they kept saying in the seminars was like, find a mentor. Find a mentor so you don't have to deal with it yourself. You can just you don't have to reinvent the wheel, things like that. And I'm like, okay, well, there are no mentors, right? Dealing with what I was dealing with. Like, there's no like celebrities or anybody that's like, hey, you have a scar, but you're so beautiful, live your life,
Yeah.
just be yourself, even if you have a scar. And so it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start creating content that I want to see, that I want to hear. So I'm like, okay, well, then I can do that for other people as well because they can kind of tap into that, right? And so that's how it all kind of got developed, and just crazy self-development journey that I'm still on, like right now. It's a nonstop process, because sometimes,
Absolutely.
yeah, I hear some women like, some days are better than others, if they have scars, and I can relate to that. And like right now, I'm not afraid to show my scar at all. Like I wear tank tops, like, I do whatever I want to do, but sometimes I just don't feel like it. So I have that choice where other women don't have the choice. And even if I do get in my mind and say, oh, well, I don't want to show my scar today, I think about all of those women that can't, or they're afraid to. So then that's like, you know what, just do it.
No, there's so many directions that we could go in right now. I think, and you and I, we talked about this a little bit before, and I think because it really seems relevant to talk about it right now, is
Mhm.
that you've been saying so much about the beauty, right? And this is masks off. So we talk about taking
Yes.
the masks, and so let's talk about that beauty mask for a minute. Let's stay with the exterior, the physical for a moment, and then we'll go deeper into the emotional things, the emotional scars that we have as well. But let's
Right.
just talk about that comparison, because you said just a minute ago, you said, I'm in a place now where I can choose to wear a tank top or not wear a tank top because I've gotten myself to this place. But there's so many women who can't yet. And
Yes.
a lot of that, I feel and believe, not just, with scars, but so many different things, is because our society has conditioned us
Hmm.
with marketing, with social media, with every that we have to, as women, wear a beauty mask. We have
Yep.
to, like, there are women, and I guess I could say I used to be one as well. I've learn to take that mask off, but wouldn't dare to leave the house without makeup on, wouldn't
Right.
dare to leave the house without our hair looking a certain way. And then it's
Hmm.
always about not being thin enough, pretty enough. And you just shared that with me because you were a cheerleader. And I can't
Yes.
even imagine the comparison and competition that happened in that arena for you. So what can you say about
Yes.
beauty mask? We have to just debunk it because we
Yes.
want everyone to just feel so good on the inside.
Yeah, so that's actually one of my missions with Scar Power too. I mean, eventually I want to partner with other companies
Mm.
to do that, like to take our mask off to show, because even in society right now, you don't see many women with scars portrayed in magazines or
No.
websites or anything like that. They're starting to with women of different sizes.
Yes.
Um, but you don't really see scars portrayed in that way. So it's
Yeah.
like scars are a part of life. Like millions of people have scars, but because you don't see them, there's like you have the stigma that something is wrong, right? There's something's wrong with me because I have a scar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing that I want to do, because it's like you said, it's just societal pressure of us having to be perfect. Or if you look on Instagram, you have all the filters and stuff, which are fun, and I do use them.
Me
However,
too.
it's
Yeah,
like I'm still,
masks back on, masks on. We use the filters.
but it's like you're still a regular person, and people do, see me with my mask off and no filter.
Yeah.
But it's like there's women that don't. They do filters all
Yeah.
the time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're scared to not do filters.
Yeah.
So, and fear of judgment and people, and just because when you compare yourself with other people, it like takes away from you. Like you don't feel like there's no way that you can get grounded in yourself and be yourself if you're wanting to be someone else, right? If you're comparing yourself to that other person. So it's definitely just very important for us to shine our own light, right?
Because when we're not, there's such, like, I know for myself, there's such a feeling and a sense of being deflated. Like I shrink and get small when I compare. So
Yes.
like I will do that sometimes on social media when I am
Hmm.
trying to grow my business and I'm trying to learn how to do different things. Like I just not just started, but when I first started TikTok, I was comparing myself constantly. Like my videos aren't creative enough. I'm not using enough effects. I'm not doing this enough. And I would compare, oh, she does such great videos. They're so creative. Why can't I do that? And then the feeling would just be of less than,
Yes.
unworthy. Let me
Yes.
be small. Let me quit. Let me quit then or give up because I'm not as good as she is or whatever. So
Right.
the same goes for scars and beauty and everything else.
Yeah, like everything you just said, like women with scars, they live in that state perpetually, like
Yeah.
shrinking themselves
Yeah.
because it's on their skin, like they can't hide it. So it's not even like, oh, I'm going to Instagram and I'm looking at something. It's just like constantly there. When I look in the mirror, I'm
Yeah.
shrinking myself, I'm unworthy, I'm less than. So, and basically it's just, so there's women out there that, maybe they can get plastic surgery to fix their scars, or they can do physical things to help them. But there are women out there that have scars like keloids that is very hard to like get rid of,
Yeah.
or like you can't really do anything about it. There's not a lot of treatments out there for them. So it's like, what do you do when you cannot do anything else about your scar? Like you're gonna have this scar for the rest of your life. So do you just stay small for the rest of your life? Do you shrink yourself? Do you not wear what you want to wear? You know? So for me, it's just all about self-perception and the mindset, because that's where the work comes in, right?
Yes.
Like that's where you have to start. That's the only place that you can start.
Yes. So let's talk about that. Let's jump into the work. What is this work? What did you do for yourself? And how did you help yourself get from point A to point B?
Yeah. So for me, like I talked about before, like I did like a bunch of self-development in a short period of time. So I think that's what kind of helped me the most, because in that you start to see yourself in a different light. And my biggest thing for me was I wanted to wear a tank top. I know that sounds funny. It's like, but I just wanted to wear a tank top because I have tattoos like on my shoulders, and I just wanted to
Yeah.
like show my tattoos.
Yeah. You wanted to own
Like,
it.
yeah, I wanted to own it, but I was scared because of course the scar is like right there on my chest. But with doing all of that self-development, it just helped me kind of get grounded in my own energy. Like, okay, I'm not just my scar. I'm a full person. I have a personality.
Yeah.
There's other things about me that I can tap into, and not just my scar, right? So it's kind of like the self-development led me to an inner confidence that helped me to show it on the outside, which is my scar. And so for the physical scar, I took a trip to Aruba in July of 2021, and and of course, and I went by myself, so it was like nobody there knows me or anything like that.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna show my scar. So I literally wore bathing suits, and that was the first time that I had like worn it out. I wore dresses or anything that I wanted to wear, I wore it there. And so, and I didn't get any like crazy stares, or people didn't
Yeah.
ask me about it. All the things that we fear and the judgment that we see, like I didn't really get that. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can do this, right? And of course, at first you do it where nobody knows you, but when you come back to the
Got to start
States,
somewhere.
right? Exactly, you got to start somewhere. And so when I came back, I started to do it little by little here. Like I would wear a tank top, and I remember I was at a store with my sister and my cousins, and he's at the cash register, and a guy, he goes, what's that? Because I had a V-neck shirt on. And I honestly did not even know what he was talking about because I forgot that I was wearing
Forgot
my
that
scar
you
out.
had.
And I was just like, what? I was like, oh, I was just like a blue scar. And then, and that was the first time that somebody like directly approached me about it. Like, what
Mm,
is that? But I knew that I was good because I didn't feel any way about it. Because usually
yeah.
with women with scars, they were like, I don't want people asking me about it. It's
Yep.
annoying, or, they feel the judgment from other people
Yes.
about it. But it's like I was just like, oh, this is just a scar from a surgery or
Yeah.
something simple. And I went on about my day,
Yes.
So, like, okay, well then I think I'm healed, right?
Well,
Like I think I got it.
you did, and that's how you know, because
Mhm.
we can talk about even like any type of emotional scar
Yeah,
as well. When you are finally in that place where you're no longer being triggered about a certain thing, that's when you know,
yes,
okay, that part of me is
absolutely.
healed. That's
Right.
it's good, it's done. Whatever energy was there, it just kind of dissipates into the ethos somewhere, and now you're good. Like
Yeah,
that's a barometer to use for if you have healed and how far you've come in something. Is check in, go inward, check in with yourself. And just like you said, oh
exactly.
wow, he just asked about my scar and I was totally fine. It was just very neutral, like, oh,
Yes.
it's a scar from a surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And you
No,
didn't have that negative inner dialogue after the fact, like
yes.
what, or all those negative belief systems that you may have had before, or could have had, or all these other women have. You didn't have that, so you were
Right.
good.
Yep. And and our physical scars are tied to the emotional scars. I mean,
Yes.
because that's what's keeping us back. That's what's holding that energy, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing we're gonna have to work on, because it's like the physical scars, they're there. They've been
Right.
there for years. It's like it's not going anywhere. So it's like, okay, well, how can I change? It's like you got to change yourself. You got to change the inner part of you
Yes.
that speaks that dialogue and all of that
Mm,
stuff, right?
yeah.
So
Yep.
yep.
There's a saying that I hear often is wherever you go, there you are. Right?
Yes,
Wherever you go, there you are. So you might
absolutely.
as well get straight in here in the head for those that are listening and not watching, is you got to get straight, because it doesn't matter wherever you're going, your dialogue is with you. And if it's incessantly negative, that's what you're gonna have a barrage of that day in and day out. So whether it's about the scar or I'm not good enough, not thin enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not successful enough, whatever that is, that's where we have to do the work and change
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yeah, because that is the work, right? Because it's having all of that times years and years and years, right? So it's like all stacked up on each other. So the work is,
Yeah.
just going in and taking it all out. So
Yep.
that is, and it's hard. It's work. It may take
Yes.
years, but
It
it's
may.
worth it, right?
And you have said, you've mentioned it a couple times, and it will most likely be the title of this episode, which is when you do that work, that's when you
Yes.
start to get grounded in yourself. When you are
Yes.
grounded in yourself, you will show up fully in the world. You will shine your light more. You'll be more authentic. And one of the things that I say often is that we are all the ocean. I don't say it. Tara Brach says it, and other people say it. I just am stealing. Let me be clear on that. Tara Brach says often that we are all the ocean, and our thoughts, our emotions, and our feelings are just the waves on the
Mhm.
ocean. So in other words, we're not our thoughts, we're not our belief systems, we're not that. And you said something similar. We are
Yes.
not our scars. We're not even our physical bodies. It's not who we are,
Right.
right?
Right.
So who we are inherent,
Yes.
that light, that essence, that divinity is the ocean. And that's what you're trying to put out into the world to help the women who have these scars to get to that place of feeling that way.
Yes. Yes. Tapping into their own presence, right? So, and that's where you can start to make your own decisions. You can start to believe what you want to believe and not believe what others have been telling you for
Yeah.
years, or start to believe what Instagram is telling you or Facebook or, the
Yeah.
other stuff, right?
TikTok,
And
they
then,
can be pretty cruel on TikTok.
yes, yes. And you can kind of start to create boundaries for yourself
Yeah.
and just be like, okay, I'm not going to look at that, or, whatever the case may be, but it's like your opinion matters the most, not everybody else's.
Yes. And to be clear, because you said it just a moment ago, it does take work to get to that place, to have to be in that place of inner strength and grounded in who you are. It takes time, and it's not like you're going to all of a sudden arrive to this place and never slip back. You're going to have
Right.
times and moments where you're like, oh God, there, I feel that way again or whatever. But
Hmm.
all the while, even if you have a slip or you take a step backwards, you're still moving forward. We still
Yes.
have to keep moving forward.
Yes. And so my thing is you have to start, because
Yeah.
there are women out there that don't start. That it's
Yes.
I mean, and it's kind of sad, but you're in the victim mentality, right?
Yes.
It's just like, this
Totally.
is my scar, this is how it'll always be, this is me, this is it, right?
Yeah. This is my
So it's
lot
like,
in life.
yeah, and it's
These
like,
are
do
the cards I
you
was
really want
dealt.
that to be? Yeah, do you really want that to be how it is?
Yeah.
Do you never want to wear a bathing suit? Do you never want to do whatever it is that you want to do? Because I believe we've been given our dreams and things for a reason. They're
Yes.
ours to bring forth to this world. And if you're stuck in your scar story for the rest of your life, it'll
Mhm.
never come to fruition, right?
Ah,
You'll just be there.
that's beautiful. And actually, that's like a great place to kind of bring that portion of the episode to a close, because that was a great way of ending. But I do have 5 rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, I am ready.
Okay. So one, what is your favorite food or food group?
I would say breakfast. Because I love making breakfast. I mean, whether it's pancakes and eggs and things like that, I'm just a breakfast girl, and I'll have breakfast for dinner.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, the other food groups, they get a little bit hard to cook, so I try to stay away from that. So, but my favorite is, I would say, breakfast.
awesome. Awesome. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I would love to go to either Fiji or Bali, just
Mm,
to see the beautiful water and the sands and just relax and just be. Just be there, you know?
Just be in your bathing suit with your scarf.
Yes. Yes,
What's
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. What is your favorite way to take care of yourself?
Um, I am a big reader, so I love to read, and that actually helps to give me new thoughts and inspire me to I mean, even do things for my business,
Yeah.
but it just helps me with the inner stuff, right? So reading is my number one
Great.
go-to.
I love it. Name one. So speaking of reading, name one book that has changed your life.
So I am actually reading right now. There's this book called Shadow Magic by Anna Sui, and it goes into the healing. It goes into the deep work. It goes into the how do you not sabotage yourself? It's how do you overcome your fears? How do you overcome your vulnerability? Things like that. And it's an awesome book, and it's helping a lot because all of us deal with that, right? And that's one of the things that I'm working with in my new program called Preparing for Love. It's like how do we become intimate with someone else with scars, but also how do we release all the fears and things around that, right?
Mm,
Whether it be, because I mean, love is kind of what rules this world. It's like one of the highest vibrations, and everybody wants love. But again, when you're stuck in your scar story, or you think you're not enough or not worthy, or nobody will ever like me like this,
yeah.
how do you change that? So that book is it's helping me understand what all of those different aspects are of the self-sabotage world, and also helping me be able to bring that to other women who needs the help.
Oh, I love that. Do you
Yes.
have one tip or takeaway for the listeners?
Yes, so I would say you are not your scars. And no, like we talked about throughout the episode here, it's just you are so much more. Right? People, relate themselves so much to their scars and think that's who they are, and that's not at all. Like you said, we're not even a physical body. We're a light, we're a soul, So once you get into that and ground into yourself, you'll realize that you are here for a much bigger reason. And your scar might be why you're here, right? It might be
Mhm.
because you need to share it with somebody to help somebody else heal. So, but you'll never know that if you're stuck. So
That's beautiful. Awesome. So you just mentioned a moment ago about your new program. Do you want to say just a little bit more about that and then let the listeners know how they can find you?
yes, so my new program is called Preparing for Love. And
Mm,
so it is to help women with scars, whether it's physical or emotional, just prepare for a romantic, intimate relationship. Because I believe that in order to have a successful one, we have to go in knowing who we are,
yeah,
right? Because
totally.
you're going into a relationship and you're going to mesh with another person who have different beliefs and different patterns and different traumas and things like that, and that can lead to like a big disaster. But if you go in knowing who you are, knowing what your traumas are, knowing why you're in a relationship, knowing what you want out of a relationship, knowing what type of relationship you have,
Yeah.
knowing your own patterns and things like that, that'll lead you much to much success with a relationship, right? I mean, even relationships are hard work, but if you go in not even dealing with your own stuff, and then you're bringing that into a relationship, and then you're trying to work it out on, the guy or the girl,
Yeah.
right? So it
Yeah.
was like, okay, let's step back and get grounded again in who you are
Mhm.
before you go into a relationship, because then you're clear on what it is that you want, how you want it to work, or whatever it is. But yeah, I think it's important that we definitely do that. And I'm in that situation right now as well. So I'm kind of like helping myself and helping others,
At
right?
the same
Because
time.
at the same time, yeah.
That's
And for
beautiful.
me, yeah, it's not so much of like the physical scar, because I don't look at it as like, oh, nobody's gonna like me with my scar. It's like, well, you
Mm,
know what? If you don't like me because I have a scar, that's great. That means you're not for me,
yeah.
right? Because the person that's for me, he's gonna love me whether I got a scar or not. And
Yes.
and it's also about overcoming previous emotional scars, past relationships, unraveling that trauma, and just like
Absolutely.
understanding and using those lessons in preparing for a new relationship. So
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're going to repeat.
otherwise, you're going to repeat.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So if someone wanted to get more information about this new program, would they go to your website? How do they find you?
Yes. So my website is scarpower.co, and I'm also on social media at scarpowerco. So all of my handle is at scarpowerco, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter. So you can find me. You can find me there.
Awesome. So I'm just going to end by saying one more thing. The
Okay.
whole episode, we said like the outside doesn't matter, right? It's all about
Yes.
the inner beauty and whatnot.
Yes.
So I want to be clear that that still is the most important thing. However, because this podcast will be on audio and video, it'll be on YouTube as well.
Okay.
That if there's anyone that's listening, this is for the listeners. If there's anyone that's listening on audio, I want you to know that Ameerah is a beautiful, beautiful person, and you have to go over to YouTube so you can see how beautiful she is. It's And I know that's not supposed to matter, but I just need
Thank you.
so thank you so much for being a guest today on Masks Off. I really appreciated it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. It's
You're
been great.
welcome. I had fun. I had fun.
Oh, I did too. Thank you so much.
Good. I'm glad. So thank you everybody for listening to another episode of Masks Off, and I will see you next time.